Chapter 2. Mother of the Living Christ. A message from Holy Virgin Mary. Section 1. Prelude. Beloveds of heaven, loving daughters and sons, today I have come in the divine person of my holy motherhood. I am the Mother of God. I have come surrounded by a choir of angels, archangels, seraphim, and blessed souls who, in their multitude, surround with love you who receive my words and the whole world. In this holy hour of union, love and truth leave worries aside. Leave aside the obligations of the world. Leave all thought aside. Come, stay a while. Stay with me, alone with your heavenly Mother. This Mother who is fully in love with you, with the whole world. I am Mary, as tender as a mother as there can ever be or ever will be. I am the tenderness of God manifested as motherhood. Let us today explore the celebration of Christmas and the room of the divinization of the physical universe, and with it, human nature. This is a time of joy and peace, a time of remembrance of the merciful love of the Father for all children. We remember with joy the celebration of a birth in which all creation participated. I invite you to see Christmas differently. In union, let us remember the love and gratitude that the soul feels before such a miracle of God's love as was the birth of Christ. See it not as a celebration of the birth of my son Jesus as a historical person. This is not a social birthday party. You already know this well. It is a celebration of love. For you and all humanity, make Christmas the perfect means to open the mind and heart to a greater comprehension of God's love. Observe Christmases of the world and you will see how spirits change. A multitude of human beings around the world meet together on this holy night. Much of the world is affected by this celebration. This is not due exclusively to psychological or sociological reasons, but in response to the birth of universal consciousness. The birth of my divine Son, Jesus in form, had an impact on the whole. His birth was the physical manifestation of the birth of Christ consciousness in the material universe. This includes the human conscious and every aspect of material and immaterial creation, including time, space, and the infinite relationships that exist and give shape to the physical universe. From that moment on, nothing of time and space remained the same. The hustle and bustle and excitement of Christmas, an emotional state akin to an undulating wave of feelings that rise to a zenith on this holy night, is actually a movement in the universal and particular soul. It is a movement arising from the memory of the ineffable creative act of God that led to the divinization of humanity. God, out of pure, freely given love, and in the eternal joy of creating, created at this time, God in human form in the birth of Jesus. Remember that we are but one mind, one heart. Remember that we are God's love extending eternally. Together, we are an unfathomable ocean of love and truth. Section 2. Love in form. From the ocean of infinite love, that is the Self, whose vastness has no beginning or end, and is pure unlimited potentiality, the living Christ arises on the physical plane. Thus, Christ's identity is extended into form. From the depths of being that God is, Christ extended. That extension in form is Jesus. This manifestation occurred 2,000 years ago in time, at the perfect moment, in the perfect place, in the perfect form, as established by God's plan, in union with all of us. Nothing was left out. Nothing can be lacking in God's creation. Nothing happens before or after the appointed time. God does nothing in vain. This is what is meant when it is said that there is a time for everything. No aspect of the divine plan is imperfect, for in God everything is union. Therefore nothing can happen in universal creation, including in your life, that is not subject to divine will, which is love. Thus it is said that without God's consent, not a single hair falls from your head. There are not two wills. There are not two plans. There's only one totality, inseparable from you, in union with your sisters and brothers. Remember, the will of God neither imposes nor disposes. Part of God's plan was the birth of Christ in form, the extension of I am divine in the plane of matter, time and space. Love extending in form is part of the design. The plan was not altered by the fact that God's children had dispersed or sought ways contrary to the original design. The idea of separation or rebellion is simply an idea, and although it has taken form and cost so many tears, it is not the totality of the Son of God, nor does it have the power to upset true creation. It is but a tiny and almost imperceptible part of you that sought to experience separation or the opposite of love. To the mind of Christ, such an idea is less than a tiny droplet of water in an ocean, or less, much less than a grain of sand relative to all the world's deserts. The idea of separation could not alter anything of God's design, simply because it never happened but in dreams. Using humanly understandable symbols, we are moving toward the remembrance that the birth of Christ is a matter of universal consciousness. It happened. It was a creative act without equal, conceived in eternity by the divine mind. It represented a new phase in God's creative plan. Regardless of your ordinary human mind, in your true mind, the mind of Christ, you are fully aware and know with perfect certainty the truth of this message, or rather, what is being remembered. Indeed, the emotional swell that rises at Christmas attests to this. Does the fact that you do not remember the circumstances of your birth mean that it didn't happen? Do you not continue to breathe even when you are unaware of it? Does the sun cease to shine when you blink? Section 3. A History of Love. The Spirit of God blew upon barren land. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Creation flourished in an explosion of life. Abundance filled everything with color, beauty, and diversity. The exuberance of creative diversity is the living expression of the song of the joy of being. It is the observable expression of the created gratitude for the Creator. An unending song of gratitude and joy of being. Time and space are born. Water and sky are born. And humanity is represented in Adam and Eve. All this arises as an unending dialogue, because that is what creation is, a dialogue. We try here to say what has been said in many myths of creation, using symbols and allegories. In those myths, and here as well, we try to express in words what happened at the moment of creation and also upon the birth of Jesus. This metaphorical and allegorical expression refers to what happened in all of physical creation, but also particularly in you. Today I speak as a mother speaks to her beloved child, to you, a blessed soul who listens to the voice of love, recognizes its truth and follows it. You who search and find, who resolve everything in perfect love, who melt in my being of pure love, you receive and recognize these words as truth, for you recognize my voice. Your heart leaps with joy upon hearing me. It is you, my beloved child, to whom I speak, and through you to the whole world. The excitement that you experience in the days leading up to the celebration of the birth of Jesus is an echo that comes from your ancestral memory. Indelible engraved in my memory is the glorious day of the birth of God in a human body. I, the Mother of God, as the perfect representative of all mankind, said, "Let God's will be done to me." And it was done. Just as in the first, "Let there be," light was made. In this new, "Let it be done," no longer set by the God of the universe, but by the new Eve, the new humanity, God is human form, in human form was made. The human was as God, yet without ceasing to be what it is. Human nature merged into God. Just as every mother feels anxiety, anguish, and a host of intense feelings before birth, so too did the heart of creation feel as God, Jesus incarnated. Such magnitude of universal creative movement cannot be erased from your consciousness or from the consciousness of the universe. For this reason, there will always be a Christmas celebration. Every part of creation has been captivated by the event of the birth of Christ. It was recorded in the memory of creation, in every physical particle, element, atom, and molecule, in every drop of water, every flower, every movement of air, every ray of light, every star, every sound, and every melody. Everything was touched by this universal explosion of love. Section 4. Individual and person. Although the incarnation of Christ reached its fullness in the resurrection, it was a continuum that had its beginning at the time of the Annunciation. From the moment of the virginal conception of Jesus, a movement of divine spirit began, which was in itself within the creative movement that gave birth to all creation. As I told you in the voice of Christ, which is delivered through the choir of angels from heaven, God in his infinite and pure potentiality conceived the idea of uniqueness. With boldness without equal, and for the pure joy of creating in love, the Creator extended the pure thought of love, and knew himself as an individuality in which the part is still the all. This was perfected in the Incarnation. You can recognize God's daring boldness in the Incarnation of Christ, the birth of Jesus. The Creator himself, Abba, became one with human nature and entered the realm of separation. By taking form, God entered the dream of Adam to wake him up. Love became form. The attributeless took on attributes. Now love would no longer be simply shapeless spirit. It could be a human body with 10 fingers on the hands and 10 toes on the feet. Thus love became visible to consciousness. An insurmountable breach was mended. A bridge, the living Christ that lives in you, was built between the divine and the human. This is how Jesus was born, a perfect expression of the love that God is. As divine consciousness took human form, the consciousness of unity was restored, not just in the true consciousness of Christ, but in the personal consciousness. Being an individual was an idea of the ego. Being a person was an idea of God. You have been told that we would explain creation in successive phases. You have also been told that it has been demonstrated in thousands of ways that love does not destroy, but transforms. Because love is God, and therefore it is pure abstraction and unlimited potential. The pure love of God is not only the first movement of creation, but unlimited, eternal potentiality. Love is eternal creation, creating and recreating, and creating space for everything created. This is another way of saying that love makes all things new. There are no creative limits in the pure potentiality that God is, nor can there be creative limits in you because you are one with God. This is how the unthinkable happened. A new creation, Jesus Christ, was born of pure, perfect love. Invisible reality made visible. Love made observable. A magnificence beyond what the human eye can see or the ear hear. A reality that encompasses both the knowable and the unknowable. No one can ever say what Jesus Christ, in all its extension, is. Section 5. A new creation. Jesus came into the world through me because he is one with me, just as he is one with you. As has been suggested, before the conception there was a dialogue in which there was an unconditional acceptance. That dialogue existed so you would remember that God, who is perfect love, always respects freedom. Likewise, Christ, as an extension of God, is only born in you when you invite him, because Christ's patience is infinite. Eras could go by for the evolution of consciousness to reach the point of another quantum leap, to ignite the passage from purely human consciousness to Christified consciousness. This is not something so difficult to understand if you think of material creation as a continual evolution of consciousness. Creation is a living story, a love story, a never-ending story. Creation is movement. Creation is a path of evolutionary awareness. It goes from the state of complete unconsciousness, the wasteland, to a state of full consciousness. Everything on the material plane is materialized consciousness. It is consciousness expressed in form, including form that observably manifests the unconscious, as well as form having the light of self-knowledge, and which approaches the perfect knowledge of God's love. The movement of the Christification of physical consciousness began, so to speak, at the perfect moment, not a minute early and not a minute late, exactly when it had to be. A new phase in creation began, created by the Father in union with the Son. Now, the drop of crystal clear water, knowing itself, was ready to return to the wave. It came back no longer thinking it would lose itself in the nothingness of the immense ocean of being. Now the droplet knew that it would not be swallowed up by the ocean of love. The whole never annuls the part, nor needs the part to be in conflict with the whole. Now the droplet returned to the serene waters of eternal life, without ceasing to be its natural and unique self. The droplet returned, knowing it was the same as the ocean of love. It could continue to extend itself without ceasing to be love. It no longer needed to abandon God in order to be itself. Now it understood that being one with the God does not mean ceasing to be itself. Now it knew its eternal freedom. And now fear begins to give way. The fear of not being fades. Thus begins a new movement in the continuing story of creation. Now the soul undertakes the return to the Father's house, not alone or with struggle, but in union with Christ, who raises the soul tenderly and joyfully takes on any burden. What is lost has been found. The soul has returned to God. The soul has returned to love. Section 6. Deified Motherhood. If Christ had not become one with human nature, mankind could never return to the Father's house. This is what we try to make clear when we say, "The mountain has come to you, and not you to the mountain." While a literary expression, it literally reflects the truth. God came to man, literally on the day that Jesus was born on earth. From that moment began a new phase in the evolution of consciousness. Nothing since then has been the same. Scientists have provided wonderful clues about this, recognizing that life on earth has undergone changes, modifications, evolution. And they also see that although these evolutionary changes tend to be continuous and imperceptible, there are quantum or disruptive evolutionary leaps. Not infrequently, such physical changes have impact even at the cosmic level. Great leaps of evolution have consequences of great magnitude. Imagine for a moment the cosmic impact if your planetary system suddenly ceased to exist. In universal consciousness, the birth of Christ had an impact on a much greater scale. Not a single corner of the universe was untouched by the breakthrough of divine consciousness that occurred at the time of the birth of my divine Son, Jesus. Unparalleled radiance illuminated the universe. Today, beloved humanity, I ask you for a perfect love of which you have only dreamt. A love which is your closest friend, your Savior, the love of your souls and your true being. I invite you to immerse yourself in the bottomless love of God and in the melody of the perfect love sung by the angels 2,000 years ago when the blessed challenge of love, the Christ, broke out on earth. Go with me towards the truth that symbols represent. Remember and feel in your hearts the ineffable truth that with the birth of Christ, a new humanity was born, and that with the birth of Christ, a deified motherhood was born. I ask that we begin to live this new life that has been given in the full knowledge of eternal union with Spirit. You are no longer sterile. You are no longer barren. You are no longer the pregnant woman who is going to give birth. You are no longer the son that will conceive the light of the world. You are from now on the mother. My sons and daughters of God, you are all mothers because I am. There is nothing in my life except spiritual motherhood. Let the Spirit of God make you fertile. Let yourself be penetrated by love. Let yourself be love. Give birth to the holy, the perfect, and the beautiful. Meditate on this and sing a hymn of praise to the Christ of God. Thank God for the gift of divine motherhood. You are the light of the living Christ who lives in you. You are the pure potentiality of love. Children of God, believe yourselves worthy of your right to be the mother of love